and welcome to the RA Lifestyle, where I will be sharing the things that bring me joy while also bringing awareness to rheumatoid arthritis. In today's video, I will be sharing with you how I plan to use my Hobonichi Techo A6 avec for health tracking. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's get into it. I should note that I'm not officially setting this up yet because I want to use some Coffee Monsters Co. stickers that I recently ordered. They were from her release of October 14th. And they haven't arrived yet, so I want to wait for those to arrive so I can decide how to decorate. I am thinking of using this really pretty sticker. I think I might put this here, but yeah, I'm gonna wait for the other stickers to arrive before I decide. But for health tracking, let's start with how I am going to be using the A6 weekly. So my plan, I think I shared this in my Hobonichi haul video, but I am planning to track pain, stress, and fatigue on this. So I already did an example at the end for January of 2025, so I'll show you in a moment. But this is where I really like this pen because I am planning to switch the colors for pain, stress, and fatigue. So let me show you what I did. I did this just to prepare for the video. So at the very back, since I figured I probably would use another one for next year, but here's the example of how I have created this. So I used whiteout and I crossed off so the numbers here on the side. I used whiteout to get rid of them, and then I put in my own 1 to 10 scale. And so my plan is to use, I'll use red for pain, blue for stress, and then black for fatigue. So I can just know this is just an example. So let's say maybe on January 1st, my pain is at a 3. So 10 being, most amount of pain, stress being, if stress is at a 10, that means I was, the most stressed that day. And then fatigue being the highest, also at a 10. So I wanted to keep it consistent so that I could easily just, open this and be able to glance at it and interpret it. So for example, on January 1st here, I put maybe I have pain at a 3, and then I have stress at a 2, but then fatigue maybe because it's January 1st, I'll be at a 7. So this is just, it keeps going out of focus. So this is just an example of how I plan to use it. And my hope is that, I will have it for the whole year. So it'll make it easy for me to look back if I needed to look back on it. If pain starts to, go up for any reason, then that would be important for me to track so that I can talk to my doctor about that. And I can show you too. So what I used to do, so I've always done more of kind of bullet journal method. So I can show you kind of what I've done in the past that kind of led me to this, because I think what I did before just was not as sustainable. But I think that, this whole using the Hobonichi Techo plus this will kind of help me combine everything from what I used to do. So I'm about to show you an example of one of the first times I started tracking my health on the bullet journal. It is not pretty, aesthetically pretty. So it is more functional, and I think it's just a reflection of me kind of using this in reality and not for the purposes of it being beautiful or pretty. So just to just a note. So this is my example. So when I first got diagnosed, I of course went to YouTube. I looked at many different like tracking examples. And I mean, even looking at this, I feel like, oh gosh, this was just like too much for me. Why did I do this? And so I was tracking my pain level, tracking my fatigue, because those are like two of the biggest things with rheumatoid arthritis. Like I feel like maybe like the things that get most in the way of quality of life. And then I was tracking like if I had to take any relief medications, like if I had to take Tylenol, for example, when my prednisone wasn't working. I was tracking if I stretched or was active, if I slept, whether or not I made good food choices, if I had to take, either double or just one of the prednisone pills that I was on, how I was feeling, whether I was having trouble coping. When I did, at that time, I was taking Cimzia injections, and then I would write any notes here on the side. And I mean, this wasn't bad. I just feel like eventually I just kind of stopped. So this is just showing how eventually I, stopped tracking it. And so that's just an example. I mean, if it works for you and you want to use more bullet journal method, then great. But I feel like this will just kind of be, I have the different colors. It'll be simple to just jot it down. And then these are like the main 3 things that matter for me to track on a daily basis. So yeah, so that was just an example. And I toyed around with different, like this is another example of what I tried to do. This is when I was trying to like track my food, and it also, I didn't even finish filling it out. I feel like it just didn't work for me either. So yeah, just wanted to share some examples of what I have done in the past. And this is how I will use my weeklies for 2024. And I'm excited to kind of give updates and see how this works, because I have found that with tracking, it is important to take into consideration sustainability and making sure that whatever method I am using is going to be sustainable and realistic for me to do on a daily basis. So, okay, moving on to the actual Hobonichi Techo and how I will use the different sections on here. So here I have the index section, and I wrote my little note. So I will be using this section to track exercise. Now I wrote exercise, but really I think about it as, did I move my body? So since being diagnosed with RA, it has been this, path to, trying to heal the relationship with my body and, not trying to do too much, not trying to overexert myself when my body was clearly not there yet. So I think of this more as like, did I move my body? And then I also plan to keep track if at any point my medication changes, I can, write a note, like maybe reduced. One of my goals is to try to eventually reduce the amount of prednisone I'm taking daily. Right now I'm on 5 milligrams. So maybe I can, track, like reduce, like started, 4 milligrams versus 5 milligrams of prednisone. And then this will kind of help and align with what, the pain that I'm tracking on the weeklies. So I should note that for moving my body, I plan to just highlight. So I think I have it. Yeah, I did. So here's the example. So for example, I'm just going to put, move my body, and then I used, my zebra midliner to just highlight. So this would mean that I exercised on January 1st, and then I exercised on January 4th. I did this as an example, since I figured next year by 2025 I would have a new Techo by then. And I want to highlight it so that I can write in anything if needed. So that way, if I did change the medication, then I could write it in. And so it would tell me that I exercised that day, but also that maybe that was a day that I started changing a medication. So that is what I will be using the index for. And then for the monthlies, I will definitely be using to track any health appointments. So I have monthly infusions. You know, I see my rheumatologist every 3 months right now, and then any other like dentist appointments. So I will be tracking all of my health appointments in the monthly section. I did write down, you know, mood tracker ? Because I am debating whether or not to use this as like a as a snapshot of my mood. But I will, you know, I'll play around with it and see how it goes once 2024 starts. But that is what I plan to use the monthly sections for. And then in the Hobonichi, there's this section that says turning the page to a new year. And then here I plan to write on this side, I will have the list of the current medications that I am on. And I can show you an example from my current notebook. So this is my notebook that I have for October. Again, I do not have the most wonderful handwriting, so I'm a bit embarrassed to share this, but I think it's, you know, a reflection of how I realistically write. So, and I guess I should also say that having arthritis, like, yeah, sometimes we need the big fat pins to kind of help if we're in a lot of pain. But anyway, this is just an example of, you know, I just have a list of my current medications and then supplements that I'm taking. And then I always like to kind of have, you know, a nice quote that, you know, just reminds me of, you know, I guess it just kind of helps me cope with my illness. So this one was, we are stronger in the places we have been broken. Just felt like it went with the theme. And so I'm wanting to put this in here so that I can have like my list of the current medications. Maybe I'll put, you know, a quote. This is another example of something I've done in the past. This one, of course, is in Spanish. And it translates to at the end of the day, we can cope with much more than we think that we can. And I love Frida Kahlo. So, you know, something like that is what I'm thinking of doing maybe on this side. And maybe just kind of writing a statement on my intentions for the year. So like I mentioned, a lot of it is really trying to heal the relationship with my body, trying to really listen to it, pause, incorporate more yoga into my workouts and things like that. So on this side, we have the monthly blank page. So every month has a blank page, and then it starts with the dailies. So if for any reason I have any changes to my medications, then I will be, you know, doing, maybe if the one I put here doesn't apply to me anymore, then I'll update it on this monthly section. But I will also just put, right, any kind of intentions for the month, like maybe I need to do more yoga this month, or maybe I'm gonna try to cook more healthy recipes for this month. So I'll put kind of just like my monthly intentions on this side. And then on the dailies, I am planning to just kind of put more of the descriptive details of how I am feeling for the day. So one thing that I have talked in my RA, I'm in a rheumatoid arthritis support group, and we talk about how like it is so hard to rate pain, like from 1 to 10. Like it sometimes doesn't really take into account like the kind of pain that I am experiencing. So maybe my pain is at a level at a 4, but it's more like kind of a stabbing pain. So this is where I will kind of just write more details about how I am feeling. Maybe I'm not necessarily experiencing intense pain. Maybe I just have a lot of brain fog and fatigue on a certain day. And then I wrote mood notes because I figured I could also connect it with, you know, by the way, this was a day where I just felt crappy or woke up irritable. So this will be just where I will write that on a daily basis, and I can share with you. So again, not aesthetically pretty, more of a realistic depiction of how I currently track this. So this is an example of how I track it right now. This was some week in September. September 11th through the 17th. And so what I do right now, I just, again, keep it simple and more about what's functional when it comes to my bullet journal, not aesthetically beautiful. And so I just write like my notes, like if I walked my dog, whether I did bike, or if I did like an arm workout. I will say my arm workouts are not, like when I put arm workout, like that may mean I'm not even using weights. So, but anyway, yeah, so I kind of put more details. Or for example, here, like I had to use my arthritis glove because I felt a lot of pain in my hand. So this will essentially kind of move into the dailies over here. So yeah, so that is it. Just wanted to share, you know, how I will be using the Hobonichi for health tracking. Maybe once I get the Coffee Monsters Co. stickers and then I fully set this up, at least for the month of January, then I can just like do a quick flip through, maybe like a shorts video just showing like the finished product. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this gave you some ideas for how you can use your Hobonichi Techos for health tracking. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.